Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I was just cleaning up, and while I have some spare time, I figured I'd make some ethanol-free gas for my small engines. Things like my Honda CT90's spare fuel. These small carbureted engines, as you might know, just get plugged up. I've got a Yamaha 8 outboard that doesn't like the ethanol. I've got 2 small motorcycles. I've got a pressure washer. I've got a weed whacker. And I've got a jet ski that sits in the off season. I just like keeping them all with that ethanol-free gas, and I cannot get it here from the pump. The best thing about this is you really don't need any fancy equipment. It's just household items. Everything you see in this video cost me about 20, 30 bucks, and it only takes a few minutes of effort. So let's get into it. Here is everything you are going to need. Of course, your premium gas. I've got 4 gallons here. You need a clear container. I use this one for a water fountain. 5 gallons. I use a shaker siphon to get it back out of that water container, but a funnel works great. Some water. This is 34 ounces, but we're looking for a 16:1 ratio, gas to water. And last but not least, some Stay-Bil. I add the Stay-Bil just because a lot of these small carbureted engines that I use don't get a lot of runtime. And things like this spare fuel tank, it's liable to sit for a few months before I get to it. So you can probably see I've used this container recently. I still got some water in the bottom I haven't dumped out. That's the first thing we're gonna do. Pop the lid. We're gonna toss our water in. So 1 cup per gallon of gasoline is what they say. So this is a little excessive for 4 gallons, but I'd rather go over than underboard. And we add our gas. And hey, if you don't have these easy flow spouts on your gas containers, get yourself some of those. They're made by a company called Easy Flow or Easy Pour, and they come with these vents which really make these gas cans a lot more bearable. All right, there we go. I'm gonna cap it off and give it a good hard shake. I shake it once now, and then after I've cleaned up for about 15 minutes, I come back and give it another run. All right, it's pretty well aerated. So we'll let that sit in the corner for 15 minutes. While we're waiting on that to settle, I guess I should mention why we're using premium fuel. Around where I'm at, premium is 90 octane and standard is 87. Ethanol increases the anti-knock index to give it a higher octane rating. And when you take that ethanol away, you lose, according to what I've read, about 3 points of octane. So we're just making sure we start with a higher number so that these small engines, which to be fair aren't that picky in the first place, are going to be happy with our now 87 octane fuel. You can also use octane booster additive, but to my understanding, you only gain about 1 point as per their standard dosing. But either way, it ends up being more expensive that way than just using premium fuel in the first place, which is about 20 cents a gallon more expensive. Okay, it's been 15. Let's give her a shake. Opinions differ on how long to let that sit. I've heard 8 hours, I've heard half an hour. I just leave it overnight, 8 hours or so. So I will bring you back in the morning and we'll check it out. It's been sitting overnight. Looks nice and clear. I'm gonna drain this with this siphon hose, but you can just decant it if you're very careful not to get any of that slurry on the bottom. It's just a matter of preference, but since I have it on the workbench, I'll just use this setup right here, draining straight back into the tank. Let's go ahead and add the Stay-Bil beforehand. 1 ounce for 2.5 gallons. Each squeeze gives you ½ ounce. So I'm going to do 4 of those. I've got our can up on a bucket just because this siphon is only about 3 feet long. I want to have enough distance to reach this end to about that elevation. I'm going to go ahead and start our siphon. Now I'm just going to drop it down to a level where it's just above that slurry. It only takes about 30-45 seconds to empty that whole thing, which is great. You're at so much less risk of splashing than using a funnel. You can see that siphon does leave a little bit of gas on top, but I can use this jug for 2 or 3 applications and then very carefully decant this off once it all settles down. Then the rest of that ethanol water mix I just drop off at our local recycling center. Only thing left to do is change our label. Call that a win. Now I'm gonna go spread that love to every small carburetor I have. So it's pretty easy, just mostly a waiting game. The actual process is pretty painless. In addition to running this through my smallest carburetors and oldest carburetors that don't like ethanol at any time, I also use this for winterizing things like pressure washers that'll go away in storage and putting away snow blowers and my snow machine for the summer. I'll just drain the tank and then run a little bit of this ethanol-free fuel through just so it sits in the carb bowls. Some of them I drain if the drain is accessible, and the ones that don't, I just run them out of fuel. And that's it. It's very useful just for peace of mind, if anything else. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found something that you can use in your own shop, and as always, appreciate you tuning in. Take care.